Alright, we have the lower portion of the body already painted up. Now, I'm going to have to take a similar strategy as I took when I painted the lower section of the torso, which is to paint the underside of it first, as other body components block what I need to get to. When I'm doing the upper side, this has to go mounted to the body here, but to paint the underside is going to be a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the underside first, and then I'll concentrate on the upper portion of the body after I've attached it and glued it to the lower portion. Yeah, engineering of this kit was not really made for detail paint jobs. All right, let's get going with it and see how we can make this work. We have the underside of the upper body painted now. You can see we have our paint fade going on from our pre-shading. Now what I wanted to talk about, we also have our highlights of steel underneath. What I want to talk about was the antenna. Now, you see the antenna here. If you look at the installation instructions, which I'm going to put right over here somewhere, you've got a little cap that goes on the bottom of the antenna stalk, which is supposed to keep it trapped in the body. Unfortunately, there's just too much space between here, and the antenna just flops around like a piece of spaghetti because there's just too much room in there for it to sit steady. So what you're going to have to do if you build this kit is create a spacer so that it'll lock the antenna in just a little bit tighter. I mean, there's still going to be a little bit of slop, but nowhere near as much as it was before, as this is the closest thing I had to the actual size of the gap here. I put these two pieces of styrene in to take up most of the space there, so the antenna won't be flopping around too much. I'll see if I can make it a little bit tighter, but if you want the antenna to sit straight, this is what you're going to have to do. Otherwise, it's just going to flop all over the place. Okay, and here we go. We have our shims added to the antenna housing. And now we can put the antenna in, and you can see how now there is no play in the antenna, and it now sits flush to the body. This is what you want. So I don't know if this is the way it is on all of these kits, but on this one here, it definitely needed a little bit of work. Give you a better look there. Did that by using a piece of styrene rod, and then used some very thin sheet styrene from Evergreen to finish off the shims and measure out to the last millimeter to make sure that it fit flush. All right, now let's go putting this thing together and get back to paint. Okay, I'm really not happy with that seam line. I thought I could live with it, but I really can't. It just bothers me. So what I'm making is I'm making a piece of armored panel, sort of like a patch panel, to cover that area where that is. Right now I'm making a template, and hopefully this will work and look good once it's put on the model. I'm hoping it comes out looking something like this. So we're gonna see. Okay, we have our first patch panel here made. And you can see here it's got I've even made the rivets. I made this by using a flat sheet of styrene plastic and then some styrene rod to cut the bolt heads off to make the rivets. And all that's left now is to apply it to the model, and hopefully this will give me the result I'm looking for. Just have to make one more for the other side. All right, guys, we have both of our patch panels in place on the left and on the right. I think it looks much better than that really ugly seam line that was there. And then for the top part of the seam line, I installed these photo etch pieces I had from another kit. And since this guy is sort of an electronics countermeasures type of guy with his big antenna and anti-aircraft abilities and all that, we're going to just say that these are antennas that are attached to the outside of the body to back up the main antenna on the top of the mech. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. But I'm really happy with these patch panels, and we're going to see how good they look after we get some paint on it. Alright guys, here we have the entire body painted. You can see the patch panels installed, and I think they look really good. At least better than that big, ugly separation point that was cutting halfway through the body. You can see I installed the rivets to make it look like similar to the panels on the legs, and shaped it to mimic the shape of the upper torso. So I think it came out pretty good. I also rounded all the corners and rounded all the edges, as I didn't want it to look like a flat piece of styrene attached to the body, so gave it a little bit of rolled edges, and now it looks like it's molded to the body. Once everything is glued down, I think it's a huge improvement. So let's take a good look at the body here. You can see all the painting is done. You can see all the faded areas. I'm really happy with the way this came out. Alright guys, couldn't resist just taking a quick peek at it, fully assembled. Still a lot of work left to do. Got a lot of detail work, some weathering, and all the decals to apply. So she's a long way from being done, but I think it's looking really, really good. Kind of exactly what I envisioned in my head is what it's looking like. So now we're going to get it ready to clear coat the entire body so that we can get ready to apply the decals and do some of the weathering. So that's going to do it for this episode. Come back on the next exciting episode where you'll see all the decal work and the weathering and everything start to come together to really make this thing look amazing. All right, guys. See you on the next one.